Imagine walking into a secure vault, taking nearly $19 million in cash, and just walking out. No guns blazing, no Hollywood explosions. Sounds impossible, right? Well, that's exactly what happened in 1997. And the mastermind was someone nobody suspected. If you want to hear the unbelievable story of how one man pulled off the largest cash robbery in US history, stay with me and hit that subscribe button right now, because you won't want to miss a single detail. Welcome back. So, let's set the scene. It's Los Angeles, September 12th, 1997. The place is the Dunbar Armored Facility, a place that's supposed to be as secure as Fort Knox. This isn't just a bank. It's a cash depot where money from other banks is stored before being transported. We're talking millions upon millions of dollars under one roof, protected by armed guards, thick steel doors, and state-of-the-art security cameras. At least, that's what everyone thought. The man at the center of this incredible story is Alan Pace. Now, Alan wasn't some career criminal or a seasoned gangster. He was a 30-year-old safety inspector for Dunbar Armored. His job was literally to find and fix security weaknesses in the facility. Talk about irony, right? Well, everyone else saw him as a regular employee, just another guy doing his job. Alan was seeing something different. He saw a system full of holes, a fortress with a back door wide open, and he spent months, maybe even years, quietly studying every camera blind spot, every guard's routine, and every single flaw in the security protocol. He was playing the long game, patiently waiting for the perfect moment. The night of the heist, Alan had already been fired from Dunbar for a minor infraction tampering with his company truck. But before he left, he had made sure to pocket a crucial item, a key to the main vault. On that Friday night, Alan and 5 of his childhood friends put his meticulously crafted plan into action. They didn't storm the building. They used Alan's knowledge of the facility's layout to gain access during a shift change, a time when security was at its most vulnerable. Once inside, they knew exactly where to go to avoid the cameras. Alan had timed the guards' lunch breaks to the minute. He led his crew to the employee lunchroom, where they ambushed the unsuspecting guards one by one as they came in for their break. Using Alan's inside knowledge, they knew which guards were carrying which keys. They methodically subdued the guards, tied them up, but importantly, they didn't seriously harm them. This wasn't a violent takeover. It was a calculated, almost surgical operation. With the guards neutralized, the crew had the run of the place. They made their way to the vault, but here's the thing about the Dunbar vault. It wasn't just one door. It was a series of locked cages and doors. However, Alan had a plan for that, too. He knew the sequence. He had the keys, and he knew how to bypass the alarms. He was like a conductor leading an orchestra, with each friend playing their part perfectly. When they finally swung open the main vault door, they were met with a sight that would be hard for anyone to comprehend. Stacks upon stacks of cash, millions of dollars, ready to be loaded onto armored trucks the next morning. They'd hit the jackpot. The problem was, there was too much money. They had planned to be in and out in under 30 minutes, but the sheer volume of cash was overwhelming. They started frantically stuffing money into bags, but they couldn't possibly take it all. They loaded what they could, a staggering $18.9 million into a U-Haul truck they had waiting outside. They filled the truck so full that the doors could barely close. Weighing over 2 tons, the cash was a logistical nightmare. They drove away from the Dunbar facility, leaving behind millions more, and disappeared into the Los Angeles night. The next morning, when employees arrived for work, they found their colleagues tied up and the vault wide open. The LAPD and the FBI were called in, and the biggest cash heist investigation in US history began. For months, investigators were stumped. There was no forced entry, and the security tapes from the night of the robbery were mysteriously blank. The robbers had taken the recording device with them. The police knew it had to be an inside job, but with a list of former and current employees, they had hundreds of suspects. Alan Pace was on that list, but there was no evidence linking him directly to the crime. He played it cool, living a modest life, giving no indication that he was sitting on a mountain of cash. The crew's plan was to lay low, launder the money slowly, and avoid any flashy purchases. But as is often the case, greed and ego got in the way. While Alan was cautious, his accomplices were not. One of them, a man named Eugene Hill, made a critical mistake. He tried to pay a real estate agent for a property using a stack of cash still in its original bank straps. The agent, immediately suspicious, reported it to the police. This was the first thread that the investigators could pull on. Once the police had Eugene Hill in their sights, the house of cards began to wobble. They started looking into his associates, which led them straight back to Alan Pace and the other members of the crew. They found that the friends had started new businesses trying to launder the money and were living far beyond their means. It took nearly 2 years, but slowly and surely, the FBI pieced together the puzzle. In 2001, Alan Pace was arrested and put on trial. Despite his brilliant planning, the testimony of his former friends, who had taken plea deals, sealed his fate. He was sentenced to over 24 years in federal prison. The other members of the crew also received lengthy sentences. But here is the craziest part of the whole story. Of the $18.9 million that was stolen, authorities only ever recovered about $5 million. To this day, almost $14 million from the Dunbar heist remains missing, vanished without a trace. So what does this story teach us? That the biggest security threat isn't always a high-tech hacker or a heavily armed gang. Sometimes, it's the quiet guy in the corner, the one you trust, the one who knows all your secrets. Alan Pace's genius wasn't in brute force, but in his understanding of human behavior and systemic weaknesses. He used his knowledge not to protect, but to exploit. It's a fascinating tale of meticulous planning, betrayal, and the age-old lesson that crime, no matter how brilliantly conceived, rarely pays off in the end. At least, not for most of them. Somewhere out there, millions of dollars are still unaccounted for. The hidden treasure from America's biggest cash robbery. What do you think happened to the rest of the money? Let me know your theories in the comments below. I love reading your ideas. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most audacious heists, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next story. See you in the next video.